Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Welcome to Plank of the Week. It's Friday night. I'm Mike Graham, and this, of course, is the home of common sense. And this is the one place where you don't have to worry about judging anything because we'll do it all for you. And it's already packaged up and it's already brilliant. We've got so much plankery to talk about. I've got a fantastic panel with me today. I have got Jeremy Carr. I've got Russell Quirk. I've got Mr. Peter Bleksley. So let's get right to it. Manchester Police, Jeremy.
Oh, God. In a week, boys, in a week of, complete madness about how all these organisations do things, Greater Manchester Police should be awarded Plank of the Week, quite simply because a whistleblower tells us this week that they have a positive action team. He knows already what's happening because we talked about it, right? This positive action team's idea is to say we need to make Greater Manchester Police more diverse and more, intensively concentrating on different sections of society. So we're going to go and stand outside a supermarket. Not sure which one. Probably not M&S.
It probably does matter, right?
No, Mike, I think Lidl's a good idea. Lidl, yeah. Because you can buy anything in
you can buy it in the centre aisle of Lidl's.
But aren't you going to get a better style of recruit from Waitrose than you would
I don't know. Anyway,
not necessarily.
This wokery, right, means that they stand outside a certain supermarket or certain supermarkets, taking the names and contact details of human beings. Now, I don't know whether that's across the scale or just people, but they wanted to concentrate on recruiting people without GCSEs who couldn't speak English.
Sorry, couldn't speak English.
Okay? I've no idea. Anyway,
exactly.
so
police people.
And so the whole idea, right, would be that will tick a box, that will make us look like we're doing the right thing in terms of how we are perceived, irrespective, as he said to me earlier this week, old Bleksley over there. You need to be able to read and write to understand the laws, the statute book, the things that you're writing on your charge sheet. This is
also need to be able to understand.
Madness,
you need to be able to understand what people are actually saying to you when you ask them a question, Peter.
Yeah,
right?
so how many coppers in your day couldn't speak English?
Indeed. No, everybody could speak and read and write English. Of course they could. It's vitally important. You have to write statements as a police officer. Most importantly, you have to take statements from victims.
Yes.
And those statements might be poured over by a barrister at a court like the Old Bailey. So they've got to be accurate and precise
but I mean,
and all of those kind of things.
The reason I wanted to nominate them was this isn't the first. There was West Yorkshire Police who literally last week, I think we were talking on some show, that no white people to recruit. That was an absolute fact. And this week, the head of West Yorkshire Police insisted that the 10,000 people, not just policemen and women in West Yorkshire Police, so the administrative staff as well, right, were to go on a 2-day Black Awareness cultural course to apologise for us being the leaders of slavery across the world.
Excluding
Are you supposed to deal with crime, for Christ's sake?
Excluding a specific demographic from a recruitment process, isn't that a thing that we used to call racism?
Yes.
Reverse racism, but I'm not sure people
apparently it can't be
it.
racism, though, if it's against white people.
Oh, really?
It's not called racism.
Oh, what's it called then?
It's called positive
Well, you know
discrimination.
what I'm allowed to say, don't you? I've got many Jewish friends and they suffer racism every day. Not one they never give the same credence to what Jews are going through as they do to other people.
No.
Chief Constable John Robbins of West Yorkshire Police is campaigning for a change in the law. Now, you would think perhaps he wants sterner sentences
More
for
stop and
people
search,
who assault police officers,
Yeah.
or perhaps more stronger sentences for those who rape and kidnap children.
Yeah.
But oh no, Chief Constable Robbins is campaigning for a change in the discrimination law so that he can, guess what, discriminate against people positively.
What's his boss called? Batman. I mean, does this
it's
guy
a
got any
joke,
kind
man,
of clue
isn't it?
as to what's going on?
I guess see what you did
He's
there.
got that. I mean, here's the thing, right? Greater Manchester Police have also got another record going, because we've discovered this as a Talk exclusive, that they've got the most police officers of any police force in the UK using drugs, more positive cocaine tests than any other police force, and more positive drunk driving results as well.
Is that what they think inclusivity is?
Well, I guess so. Maybe that's what they're looking for, more drug addicts down at the local supermarket.
Somebody said to me this week, it's a very good point, actually, you'd think rather than doing this, they'd be helping people who work in shops, local shop owners, who the police won't turn up. If you have less than 200 quid nicked from your shop, the police aren't turning up. You look at that and you go, hold on a minute. It's like the 6 people turning up to arrest somebody for hurty words. Priorities are all wrong. This is rubbish.
They just don't bother. And
Rubbish.
it is absolutely utterly ridiculous what's going on in the police force. This is Lucy Connolly, obviously being held as part of the 2-tier police operation. She got a mention on Plank of the Week last week. She's still in prison, by the way. Russell, over to you with the BBC.
Yeah, BBC again, I'm afraid. I know they are a repeat offender, so to speak, on this show, but for good reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
And particularly this week, because, of course, we've had Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Conservative Party, and his Manchester opposition, interviewed on the BBC sofa, very prestigious as that is, And you would imagine that the likes of Naga Munchetty and Charlie State would have interviewed her about, I don't know, the economy, inflation, immigration. Immigration, obviously, a big thing. Well, they kind of did interview her about crime, but a fictitious crime.
A fictitious crime. One that didn't happen.
Well, that never happened. And even though Naga Munchetty and Charlie State kept referring to it as a documentary, I've got news for you, BBC. Adolescence, as a Netflix show, is not a documentary.
No, it's not.
It's a drama.
Yeah.
And however, what we ended up with was the leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, being berated for 8-9 minutes, I think it was, by the BBC, presumably with their producers behind them telling them what to say, on the basis that they were critical of the fact that Kemi Badenoch, who's quite a busy lady by all accounts, hadn't bothered to watch the Netflix show.
And they were confused, weren't they? Let's have a look at the clip.
Have you watched Adolescence yet?
No, I haven't. I probably won't. It's a film on Netflix, and most of my time right now is spent visiting the country.
It's a four-part series on Netflix, and everyone is talking about it. Why would you not want to know what people are talking about?
Well, I think that those are all important issues, and those were issues that I've been talking about for a long time. But in the same way that I don't need to watch Casualty to know what's going on in the NHS, I don't need to watch a specific Netflix drama to understand what's going on.
It's really confusing that you don't want to know how this has made an impact, how parents are now saying we need to know more about smartphone use.
I can read what people are saying about it.
You just said a moment ago that you're comparing Adolescence with Casualty. These TV programmes. Did you really mean to say that?
Telling me that I should go home and watch Netflix is you trying to tell me how to do my job. But I don't think that's how to do my job. I can read about...
At what point did I tell you...
Well, you've just said that you were surprised that I haven't watched it. We don't have to watch a particular show to know what is going on in the country.
Adolescence has made more of an impact than any politician has on parents and when it comes to the issue of smartphones and misogyny, and yet you are saying... despite that, you don't need to know about it.
Well, no, I haven't said that I don't need to know about the issue.
You don't need to watch it.
I don't need to watch a specific show to know what is going on in this country. It's a fictional show.
I mean, the idea that somehow you're supposed to watch television as a politician,
and
why haven't you watched it? I find it confusing that you haven't watched it.
Our Prime Minister believes that watching that would be a really good idea in schools. What about getting your ass out of 10 Downing Street? I'm not sticking up for Kemi Badenoch. I've heard nothing from her that makes me inspired.
But she was good there, Jez.
She was good in that interview. But what I'm going to say to you is, that's his idea. Watch a television programme. No. It's a television programme. From experience, boys, without saying... That is typical BBC, and that is another example of we sit here, we pay our licence fee, we get cautioned or prosecuted if we don't. They have an agenda, and anybody who can't see that is missing the point.
But the way Kemi Badenoch...
I met him. I used to work in the next door studio, and he used to look at me while I walked past him like I'd gone into his house on Christmas Day and pissed on his kids. He's right up himself.
The way Kemi Badenoch dealt with that in terms of saying, I don't need to watch Casualty to see what's happening in the NHS, I think it was a brilliant...
Fair play.
Brilliant. Also, apparently we found out, did we not, a couple of days later, I think it was in the Times, that they don't speak to one of their main producers or the editor of the show or something like that.
It's a toxic culture.
I mean, only in the BBC could you have that, where you've got an actual breakfast programme where the people behind the scenes don't talk to the actual presenters.
But also...
I'm going to shock you now. I know Nana Munchetty, and she's all right, actually. That would, but
she's been told what to say.
I'm not sticking up for her. I don't like him, but she's all right, actually, away from that.
But do you think she's been told what to say?
Mate, I've sat in stuff like that. They'll say to you at 4 o'clock in the morning, right, you're doing this bit and you're doing that, and I used to sit there and go, I've been working for the BBC. I don't even know what you're talking about. It's far too early. And just a cigarette and a coffee. That is totally about an ideology, as we talk about with the police. That is right up at the top of the BBC.
But it also represents a section of society in this country who believe that actually that's the most important thing that's happening.
And that they're better than the rest of us.
And those of us who talk about black knife crime and those of us that talk about, the terrible things that happen in working class white areas of this country, which have been invaded, quite frankly, by an awful lot of people who do some terribly bad crimes, right? They are the people who look down on those people who think like that. And if you're not watching Netflix, I mean, how pompously bloody middle class. Oh, haven't you got Netflix?
And the irony...
it's £75 a year.
But the irony of the BBC promoting somebody else's show.
Is what
I want to know is, when it comes to actual representation, bearing in mind, in my book, white young lads stabbing white girls is not representative of what actually happens in the main in this country, right? That's just not representative. The reality is
that fits
black,
with their
in London in particular, most cities, the majority of knife crime, particularly when it comes to stabbings and deaths themselves, is black on black, right? That's just the reality. When it comes to knives that are used in the course of terrorism, as Pete well knows, the majority of that is perpetrated by Islamic extremists. It's not 13-year-old white kids. So why are we getting so concerned and supportive and enthusiastic about something that doesn't bear any
but
relationship with reality.
It's not even that deep for the BBC. They will always have a certain way to look at things. And it is not common sense, to coin a phrase from Talk. It isn't. It's what they believe the Islington ideological idiots, elite, believes. Right. And I say it every day on the show, and people look at me like you're saying it again. There is a country, you idiots, I'm talking to the government, north of Watford Gap. And your average, everyday working men and women look at this stuff and they go, do you know what, that's rubbish.
But the huge, serious concern is this is the ultimate gaslighting. The ultimate gaslighting.
Of course it is. Yeah, I agree.
Peter Bleksley, over to you. The Ministry of Justice.
Well, before I start on the Ministry of Justice,
Oh, God.
it's Easter, and I've had the great pleasure of meeting Russell's wife, and there's a bunch of daffs for you to take home to your darling wife.
Oh, thank you very much.
That's very kind.
If only they were alive.
What about Jez's wife?
Hold on a second.
What about
Firstly,
Jez's
that's a little bit creepy from an old bloke in a dodgy suit giving his colleague a pair of...
From the Godfather here.
Just spreading the love.
What am I... Spreading something. What am I supposed to say to Mrs. Carter? What's he supposed to say to...
There you go.
Who am I going to give flowers to? I need a lot more than 3, to be honest. Thank you very much.
I've got
on
one
the,
flower for each wedding.
So the Ministry of Justice is
that's
ultimately
only my
responsible for the running of our jails.
Yes.
Tragically, at the weekend, 3 prison officers were very seriously injured, life-changing injuries for 2 of them, I believe, by an Islamic terrorist who's serving 55 years. And he was in a separation unit. Separation units were originally conceived by Ian Aitchison as places where Islamic preachers of hatred should be placed so they cannot indoctrinate the wider
rest of the
population.
they can talk to each other. That's fine.
Yes,
because they're all nutters together.
But the clowns at the MOJ, the civil servants who do not have the experience of working on the landings, of running prisons, decided to kind of change their purpose and put these murderous terrorist imbeciles together in such a unit where they have their own cooking facilities.
Yeah.
Prison
Where they can make weapons and where they can heat oil and butter to such a degree that they can burn people.
Prison officers are still in hospital because of the nonsense, the idiocy and the appalling running of our prisons by the Ministry of Justice. Shame on them.
I read a statistic today which shocked me, which is that somehow there's about 30 prison officers a day getting attacked in our prisons. I mean, it's a horrible job, and I know that it's not as well paid as perhaps it should be. But the prison seems to be in complete crisis, like every other part of the justice system in this country.
Correct.
It just doesn't work, does it?
No, absolutely right.
But why was this...
And this scumbag Abadi, right, whose brother blew himself up in the Manchester Arena bomb, and he helped provide the materials for him to do it, right? I don't even know what he's doing in prison.
But why is he not in isolation?
We should have deported him back to Libya from whence he came.
But at least he should be in solitary confinement.
Don't start that argument, because he can't go back to Libya because he'd be treated like a terrorist. And that wouldn't be fair to his mental health.
Would it breach his human rights?
Well, it's human rights and mental health, and his kid likes...
Well, I had Robert Jenrick in this week as well, because he revealed only 2 weeks ago, just before this happened, and he was kind of predicting that it might happen, that the jails also in this country have been overrun by Islamic gangs. And the Muslim Brotherhood is running entire wings of prisons. And now 45% of the prison population is actually Muslim. And a lot of people are being converted to Islam when they're in there.
What do you say to people who say that's a racist approach to that argument? I'm just interested in this response.
Yeah, I mean, I don't give a toss, frankly.
It's factual. Do you know why the Muslim...
These are statistics.
And do you know why it's changed in 12 months? Because the only thing that Sunak did that I thought was any good, he made a deal, if you remember, with the Albanians, that very tall Prime Minister. There were 10,000 Albanian prisoners. They were the biggest number. And they did a deal, and they've gone. So the same argument applies, doesn't it? If you've got... it's frightening to me. What happened to being scared of the police? What happened to being... You go into the nick, you would feel for prison officers. Feel for the massive...
Absolutely right. Yeah, particularly, and this guy's now been sent back to Belmarsh, where one would hope he will be put in some kind of solitary situation.
There's a prison inside prison, isn't there?
Where he doesn't actually get to meet anybody, where he doesn't get to see anybody. I wouldn't let him out at all.
Keep him in solitary.
I would open a little slot like that, give him his food, and close the slot. Don't come out.
I watched a thing on Belmarsh, and inside the prison for the worst, there was one prisoner, you'll probably know his name, and he's literally in glass. They just watch him, and he's not allowed out at all. Because he said, don't let me out, because he murdered 2 people on the inside of the prison.
Well, this guy Abadi should be
He was a part of blowing people up. Can we remember that? He blew people up.
Children.
So, end of.
Yeah, indeed.
Absolutely ridiculous. Let's talk about astronauts, because I'm going to tell you about some astronauts who are not really astronauts.
Say, are they really?
But they're being called Charlie's Angels, and they're said to have put the ass back in astronauts, as you might have expected.
Yes.
Let's have a look. There they are. This was, of course, led by Katy Perry. There was a whole bunch of them. Lawrence Sanchez was there. Gayle King, who's a big friend of Oprah Winfrey's. And they were striking a blow for femininity. And there they were in their outfits, looking for all the world like Charlie's Angels.
Which one's Neil Armstrong?
Yeah, I'm not sure. He's the one in the
Why
rocket,
are they not
I
wearing
think.
pink? Why are they wearing blue?
Yeah, I don't. It's a very good question. I mean, it's called. Isn't it called blue something or other? It's a blue.
I mean, why is that
blue
not if
origin.
they're after feminism? Why are they wearing a blue colour?
Yes,
Can I just say,
you
why
might
the
also ask them why they were going up in a rocket shaped like a dildo, because that's exactly what it was. Have you seen? Have we got the takeoff pictures? Here we go. Look at this. Have a look. I mean, look at it. I mean, what does that remind you of?
I've never seen a dildo.
Have you not? Well, let me tell you, it looks very much like that. If the fire starts coming out the back of it, though, there's something wrong with the batteries.
It falls to pieces.
I think you have to pay extra for that.
afraid
It
so.
falls to pieces and starts shedding things halfway up the right time. Can I ask you, because I sort of followed this story, but there are all sorts of conspiracy rumours now that they didn't actually do it. It's about a green screen.
Yeah, that's right. They're all saying that actually, well, there are so many clues. But I mean, there are still people in this world who don't think man landed on the moon and walked on the moon.
But Katy Perry is all about carbon emissions and everything.
She is. Well, she's actually got into a lot of trouble about all of this, but we've got some pictures of them, I think, in space where they finally hit zero gravity. It turns out they were in space, technically. Have a look, play it.
1, 2, 3, taking up space! Flynn, behind you. Look.
Flynn, I gotcha. I gotcha, Flynn.
Gotcha. Proud of you, Flynn.
I mean, that's just ridiculous, isn't it?
I mean, you'd be in that
Katy Perry's written songs longer than they were in space for. They were up there for about
but
4
in that
minutes.
anti-gravity environment, you'd be a bit worried about all your plastic surgery falling out your face.
You would, wouldn't you? Well, you might. I wouldn't be.
They might.
I haven't had any. But,
and here's another thing: if that is supposed to be some kind of thing for feminism, why are they wearing?
See me ever going to space.
Why? Why are they wearing?
The truth is that I actually look like a map of the London Underground.
In reality,
yeah,
you'd be like that. You'd be like that. Your face would distort. No, but why are they wearing such tight-fitting suits?
That's very sexist
it's all
comment.
very like
because
that.
they can be in charge of their own bodies, and they can be in
Well,
charge.
are they though? I bet they
well,
didn't make the suits they wore. What was?
I think.
Well,
all
also,
the suits, so
talking of the BBC, the BBC refers to them as the crew, which of course they weren't. They were the passengers. There was no crew.
They're not flying it,
I
are they?
think they wore very tight suits in case their penises fell out.
If you were going to be in space for 4 minutes, wouldn't you spend that time looking out of the window?
You would think
and
so.
going, wow, isn't this remarkable?
Yeah.
Instead of kissing
Instead
a
of
cuddly
doing
toy.
nonsense down a camera.
Yeah, it is absolute rubbish. Have a look at what Katy Perry had to say when she came back down.
You're like really finding the love for yourself because you got to trust in yourself on this journey. And then you're feeling the love when you come down for sure. And you're feeling that strength. So I feel really connected to that strong, divine feminine right now.
By the way, you're such a badass. I love that the month of April, you're like, I'm going to space and I'm launching my tour.
Funny that.
Yeah, such a badass.
Do you think she's been spending too much time with Kamala Harris?
I think
that
so.
word salad was ridiculous.
Or Meghan Markle. I think that's full on Meghan Markle.
Somebody actually said, can you imagine Meghan sitting at home going, I should have
Why
been
am
on
I
that.
not there?
I should have been on that. Why am I not part
I
of
still
that?
think you're missing the best bit, boys. I'm sure I've said it
Go
before.
on.
Every year I go on a golf trip with my buddies to Orlando, and all we do, play golf in the morning, dinner at night, and we do every afternoon. We sit and watch American Deal or No Deal from however many years ago, and Meghan Markle is there on box 23. Like that, just to watch her.
Yeah,
ludicrous.
It is ridiculous. This is the capsule, right? This is the one they say where it's only supposed to be openable from the outside, the door. But at some point, and there's Katy Perry. But at some point, the door kind of opens from the inside,
a bit too
and
early.
everyone's going, that's not supposed to happen.
Bezos say, don't close it.
Do we think it's a con then? Do we think it's a con?
I don't think it's a con. I just think that it's a con in the sense that they didn't really go into space.
No.
They went in effectively
outer atmosphere.
a sort of super Concorde type flight. You know,
Outer
Which meant
Malta. Which meant they went sort of high enough out of the arc of the Earth or something in order to claim.
Would you go to space?
I wouldn't mind. Yeah.
Would you go to space?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I'd rather go there and land, though. I don't actually want to. I mean, I like Elon Musk when they said to him, would you like to go to Mars? He said, yeah, but I don't want to die on impact, because I think the point about going to space is that you want to go to space and explore it. You don't want to just go up in a sort of a vanity trip and go, oh, I've got my little certificate. I went up to space for 4 minutes. It's kind of a waste of time. But let's have a look at Gayle King. She's talking about it.
The best part was when we got back in our seats after 0 G's, Katy sang, "What a Wonderful World."
She did?
That nice?
Oh, come on.
She sang, "What a wonderful world. I see
Did you just all
dreams."
start
Oh,
crying?
yes.
Oh.
They've also, of course, been criticised by an awful lot of their fellow celebrities who were saying, you know, we're supposed to be all about saving the planet. And they've calculated the carbon footprint of this is absolutely off the scale. And what's that woman, Emily Ratajkowska, the Polish model, has come out and absolutely castigated them and said it's a disgusting thing they've done.
What was the point?
What was the point? It's all about them. Yeah. It's not about space, it's about them.
And Katy Perry happens to have a tour to promote.
Yeah.
Coincidence, I'm sure.
Absolutely right. Here's Katy's final clip just before she starts the tour.
This wasn't a ride, wasn't a destination. It was a journey, and it was a supernatural one. My journey has always been about love and belonging, and I think that we have all felt that sometimes we weren't worthy or we didn't belong, and in certain ways, no matter all the accolades, no matter all the studying, no matter anything. And I think today we all said it, like, we belong here.
What's complete and utter balderdash.
Absolutely.
Well, but her journey has been about money.
You know, the most disappointed man in the whole universe about all of this, though, of course, is Jeff Bezos, who not only paid for the trip, but sent his wife up there, and she came back. Because, you know, his last wife cost him half of his fortune. Yeah. He used to be the world's richest man until she got a divorce from him. And now he's never going to be the world's richest man again. You think that might be the plan? Well, so now he's got a second wife. He sends. I mean, why would you send your wife up into space other than with the hope that she wouldn't be coming back?
My brain's going.
My brain's for 4 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if she went to the space station for 4 months or something, I could see the value in that.
But if you sent all your wives up, you need a bigger capsule.
That's quite funny. Anyway, listen.
I can take it.
Coming up.
I can take it. I'm
more
good.
Personal insults and more plankery. This is Plank of the Week.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Welcome back to Plank of the Week. Now, for those of you living in Birmingham, you don't need to be told why it's now being called Birmingham, which is because of all the rats, or indeed Birmingham, because people have now started to set fire to all the rubbish to get rid of it all, right? But the rat infestation up there is absolutely unbelievable. And I'm just going to kick this off with a video, because the video sort of pretty much explains everything. It still hasn't been sorted out. Angela Rayner was supposed to have sorted it out, but the trouble is Angela Rayner's taken a load of money from the Unite Union. The Labour government have taken billions and billions of pounds from the unions over the years, since since Keir Starmer became the leader, right? And there's several Unite members in the actual Birmingham City Council, and there's also, of course, the Unite members who are on strike. So this is about Richard Parker, the Labour Mayor of the West Midlands, who's claiming there are no rats in Birmingham.
Have you seen rats?
I haven't, no. And
but presumably there are rats. I mean, there's not a question over whether there's rats attracted by this rubbish.
Well, I think we should move on with this issue, but we're getting preoccupied. I haven't. No one I know has seen one.
I've seen a child down the road sitting on the floor. I've walked past and she's playing with a rat.
The rodents are getting so brazen, they're scaring away the very agency workers brought in to try to clear up the city.
Do you not think there are rats attracted by the rubbish?
I think the position has probably been exaggerated.
Our Barbie school is actually closed because rats got into the school.
Rats got into the school?
Yeah.
Someone's been bit by rats. Rats the size of cats running
Someone got bitten by one.
Well, it's great to have a politician so in touch, isn't it?
I haven't seen any rats. I mean,
he probably hasn't been there.
He sounds a bit like King Canute.
He's probably like most of the Birmingham politicians on holiday.
Yeah, I spent about 5 years working in Birmingham. That's a disgrace. You're so right about Unite. Yeah. The woman I kept saying on there is not related to you, Sharon Graham, is the boss of Unite. Said, well, we'll spread this out. Every time I say this, even he raises his eyes. I remember 1979, and I'm telling you, that will spread to other councils because the Labour Party is financed by the unions, and when you give one a 30% rise, they all want it. There will be shortages of electricity and blackouts and all. I tell my kids and they go, I'm telling you now, it's going to happen.
We're already talking this week
about
this is
always what Labour does.
A summer of discontent is coming. The teachers are going to go on strike. The NHS are going to go on strike.
But of course,
train drivers.
There is a solution, Mike. And the solution is, of course, we've got 6 million people unemployed, and we've got tens of thousands of asylum seekers in hotels at the taxpayers' expense. Why don't we send them out on the streets of Birmingham to clear the rubbish?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's not that difficult to sort the problem out because 130 apparently of the refuse collectors, as they used to be called, have agreed a deal with the council, but there's only 40 left.
And the Army's
won't do it.
The Army's supposed to come in.
I thought the most interesting thing is because I didn't really understand about councils, and although I lived there and I did a thing on the show, and you know, there was always that clamour of councils should get money, more money from central government. They spent all their money a lot of it on commercial property, and the market crashed and they lost the gamble with the money that central government had given them and then can't afford to do for the people of Birmingham. What the people of... Oh, it's disgraceful. That's our second city. What does that tell the world? What does that tell the world?
Does it not tell you the state of this nation at the moment? Because nothing really works. I mean, people are complaining about inflation this week. I mean, we've got figures by the government and the Office of National Statistics saying, inflation's down to 2.6%. Right. No, it isn't. People go to the shops and things are costing twice as much. I don't know how much you pay for these daffodils, Peter, but
26 quid.
I bet you it was about 50% more than you paid the last time.
Did you steal them?
Long gone.
Did you steal them?
Excuse me, that's an absolutely slanderous thing to suggest.
If you know the police wouldn't have turned up, you wouldn't have been caught. Did you steal them?
I am a witness of truth, OK? I paid for them with my hard-earned cash. And you're right, the day of a pound for a bunch of daffodils is long gone.
Very much so.
The chocolate?
Unfortunately. Yeah. But anyway.
He's got chocolate as well.
Well, it's Easter, so yet again, I am the gift that keeps on giving. There's an Easter lamb for you.
Very nice.
Chocolate lolly lamb.
Very nice. Thank you.
Mr. Carl, you can have a cow.
You're very kind.
I'll give
Don't have a cow, man.
You have a lamb. You have a lamb.
Very nice.
Why am I the only one that got a cow?
I'll have a cow. I'll keep you company.
OK. It's time for yours now. Your next one is on legal aid.
Well, so it was a really interesting week as well. Mike's right. So much happened. We started the week with discovering that Labour had gone back on its abuse inquiries. We launched. We broke this on Drive, and they said we wanted an internet. Everybody wanted a national inquiry into the abuse horrors.
Yes.
And in January they went, we'll do local ones. And then they announced on Monday we're dropping that. And they announced it 45 minutes before Parliament went into recess.
Yeah.
That was followed this week by something that just leaves you cold. Members of the grooming gang.
He's eating chocolate.
Members of a grooming gang.
You won't be able to speak for ages
in
now.
Rotherham, who were jailed for, 101 years in 2018, got £611,000 in legal aid. Now, this is pretty personal to me, but I'll tread very carefully. Legal aid is another thing that is being taken advantage of by people, paid for by the taxpayer, who have no bloody right to it, who are simply trying to get free...
And we have no say in who gets it. Nobody really understands it. All we ever hear from barristers and the legal profession is that, you might think that legal aid is a good way for barristers to make money, but actually they don't really do very well on it. And that's the only story you ever hear. Nobody ever says, well, hang on, aren't we giving legal aid to the wrong people?
Yeah, but they tighten the rules.
Can I give you the example of somebody? Ringleader Mohammed Imran Al-Akhtar, 43, was 23 years in jail. Listen to this. The money that he got does not include costs for a separate trial last year, in which he got a 12-year term additionally for raping, just for the people who think this show, for raping a girl of 13 after plying her with booze and drugs.
Filthy rapist.
I know.
Filthy rapist. And we're giving legal aid to
144,000 quid's worth of our money.
It's a joke, man. We look ludicrous.
It is.
You should be able to claw that back. After conviction, you should be able to claw that back. If he's got anything wrapped around him, a house, the lot.
They can't, if he's got a house, if he's got a car, if he's got anything of any value whatsoever, if he's got, savings, if he's got gold, whatever he's got, take it all off him.
But when you talk about common sense, and the mantra of talk is common sense, right? That doesn't make any sense. So the victims will have that forever.
Yeah.
He goes to jail and we pay. I'm all for people being represented, but surely somebody needs to go, that's just wrong.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay tax for Ian Huntley to get a lawyer. I don't want to pay tax for Mohammed Al-Akhtar to get a lawyer. He's a scumbag. He should rot in hell.
Exactly right.
I don't understand.
But you'll be able to find lots of good bleeding heart lawyers who say, well, of course, everybody deserves the right to representation. Well, guess who's making the money?
£800 an hour.
That's them getting the money. I mean, that is the thing that's wrong with
legal
the whole
aid,
system.
plank of the week.
Heart barristers who not so long ago were on strike.
Oh, yes.
Remember?
Yeah, no doubt they'll probably go back on the old picket line as well because, they're part of the public sector.
Chocolate's very nice.
Is it? I'm not eating mine because I tend not to eat chocolate while I'm doing a television programme. But you guys carry on.
Consummate
call me old-fashioned,
God, you're so boring, mate. Can you get with the plan? We have to do this. We have to eat.
Yes. Cambridgeshire Police are up next with Mr. Russell Quirk.
Jeremy, you talk about common sense. This is really going to annoy you.
Okay.
So this is, my second nomination, Cambridgeshire Police,
Yeah.
for the following. Picture the scene, Wisbeach in Cambridgeshire. here, lovely market town.
Nice part of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely. Well, there's a bunch of reform campaigners and activists decided to set up a stand, and someone that I won't name because of the time of year it is.
The election rules and all that,
election rules and so on, but happens to be kind of, connected by way of politics, walks and is in some authority, I have to say, walks up to the stand and demands, because he doesn't like reform, because he's from a different party, that they dismantle the stand and sling their hooks. And of course, the reform candidates, campaigners say, well, no, hang on a sec, we're not doing that. Freedom of speech, freedom of congregation, and so on and so forth. But there's a language barrier, shall we say, between the protagonist and the reform campaigners here. And so one of the reform campaigners says, look, I didn't quite hear what you just said. Would you mind repeating what you just said? Immediately, the police are called, Cambridgeshire Police. The police turn up and go immediately to the person that has said, excuse me, can you say that again? And tell him that because of the nature of what he has said and who he has said it to, it might be constituted as a hate crime.
Yes.
Well done, Cambridgeshire Police.
Yes,
well done,
absolutely right. We've got
what
the
an
clip.
absolute waste of time.
We've got the clip. Shall we have a look?
Apparently during some conversations between yourself, apparently you have alleged, we weren't here, so I don't know you've said it, but you've alleged to say, speak English, or what's that effect?
Speak clearly.
Speak clearly.
No,
okay.
the gentleman's partially deaf.
Yeah, he can't speak clearly.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even hear him.
No, and that's fine, and that's why we've just come to speak, because potentially someone could perceive that as a hate crime.
Didn't we just know this was going to happen?
No, I know.
You've got to say, the world has gone completely mad, right?
Officer.
And also the way that he has to put it, and I'm told that later the police were actually sort of commended for the way that they handled it.
But they didn't pursue it.
Because they didn't pursue it. They came back and said, by the way, we're just here to tell you that no crime was committed. But it's the way he has to try and explain the fact that some people might perceive it to be a hate crime. Well, some people might perceive the moon's made of bloody cheese.
But Mike,
what difference does it make?
In the real world,
what
though,
they think.
But Mike, in the real world, we have people that are burgled, people that have their cards stolen, people that are the subject of assault. You ring the police and they don't want to know. They don't turn up. They're not interested. Whereas someone maybe says something that one person, because their barrier in terms of their threshold of offence is so low, deems to be offensive, and all of a sudden, God knows how many coppers.
But they're weaponising offence, you see. They take offence and so they weaponise that, and they call the police. And how much police time is being wasted on this kind of utter nonsense?
What would happen if the chief constable said, I'm not following this work, I've got a different agenda? Would he lose his job?
Well, it would be very interesting if we had such a chief constable. I mean, the closest we've got to one who's kind of, better than the rest is Watson at GMP, but we know that his force still engages.
I'm getting embarrassed in my country.
It is embarrassing.
I don't mean to be unfair or anything. I don't mind us having led the world and done stuff and have people. I think we're getting to a point where we are fast becoming the laughingstock internationally.
We are.
What rubbish do we talk about every week? I don't mean that badly.
US politicians are saying exactly that every day. The likes of J.D.
what's happened to Britain?
Saying, what the hell's happened to you lot over there?
It used to be a proud nation.
Exactly right.
And people around the world, in Australia and other English-speaking countries, they're watching shows like this and they're going, what
But
the
let's
heck
also
is
remember that in
country?
2009, some bright spark had the idea of introducing police and crime commissioners to stop this nonsense, so that there were people at the head of police forces that were accountable. Well, what's happened to them? You don't see them. You don't.
Well, they've made them accountable, but to the wrong people. They're not accountable for the numbers of crimes they solve.
But they're on hundreds of thousands of pounds a year.
To the diversity brigade.
Yeah,
who are all about, well, how nice have you been to the minorities this week, and how many white people have you arrested for hate crime?
Well, my suggestion is people might want to think very, very carefully about how they cast their vote in the future when it comes to police and crime commissioners.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the people I speak to on a regular basis who works around here in one of the shops said to me that the shop next door to him got burgled the other night. Right? They somehow lifted up the shutter. They broke the window. They managed to get inside and nick the till, which had some money in it. Nothing. So it was obviously low level type crime. But there was a bit of blood on the floor. There were fingerprints all over the window. Rang the police and said, "Look, we've got some DNA here for you. We've got fingerprints. We've got blood." They never turned up. They never came. They didn't bother responding
I think
to
now,
the report.
you know what you've got to do now? When you report a crime like that, you've got to say, at the end of the call, you've got to say, and by the way, they misgendered me. The police will be there immediately.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's incredible, isn't it? But don't worry, because we've got some very, very good and very clever politicians, political leaders in this country. Let's see what some of them have been up to.
Hi guys, I'm here in Shrewsbury Market. It's a bigly market. It's doing great stuff. Come and buy your things from here. But you know that guy, President Trump? He's been panicking the markets. We're not panicking here. We're buying British. in Shrewsbury.
He's a joke, man, and he got
Just a
72 seats. He's a clown.
Yeah,
It's a much better
absolute
word. Sorry,
clown.
Chuck. He's a clown.
He is a clown. He definitely is a clown. But the trouble is that he got elected and got 72 seats by being a clown.
I know.
You know, that's the
Says a lot for our
pathetic part about
electorate,
it,
doesn't
you know?
it? Doesn't it say a lot for our electorate?
Well, I'll tell you what, the one thing the Lib Dems were good at is actually finding out where their targets were and going and getting them and getting
Reform
and
could
getting
learn
in.
from
very
that.
Poshes.
Yeah.
Posh people with loads of money and very little brains vote Lib Dem.
And hardly any sense at all.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is the problem. I mean, he's fallen off things. He's fallen into water, you know, and yet...
Does he not feel like he's a figure of fun?
No, he's demeaning politics.
I think he is demeaning it, and I think it's kind of... Because when he ever tries to get up and make a serious point in Parliament, people just think, what are you going to do now? Just fall down and jump over the benches and pull a kayak out?
Not juggling.
Yeah.
In the end, Paddy Ashdown, who was the most famous one, became Paddy Pants Down.
Yeah.
But there was some gravitas about Paddy Ashdown.
There was until the Pants Down episode.
Until the Pants Down. After the Pants Down, there was
he's-
even more gravitas.
He's always going to be remembered as that.
They've not got a great track record, though, have they? I mean, you know,
Jeremy Thorpe
and all that.
the dog.
Yeah. Murder.
Yeah,
Well, what about Clegg, the biggest traitor of all? Vote Clegg, get Cameron. That's what happened to millions of votes.
Yeah, he traded every morality.
And then he went to work for Facebook.
Yeah.
Doesn't he left now?
I think he's left Facebook because they were worried that Donald Trump's influence was going to make them do things that he didn't want them to do, and he was entirely right about that, of course, because the boss of Facebook, Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg,
He's now Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg went to Mar-a-Lago and had his pockets emptied. Basically, ended up giving Donald Trump £1 million for his campaign and promised to get rid of all the fact checkers. Yeah. It was brilliant, absolutely fine. Now this is Plank of the Week. It's the one place where you don't have to do anything at all. You just have to sit back and enjoy it. Coming up, we're going to talk about Richard III. She's in again. And Ed Miliband. He's also here. This is Plank of the Week.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Welcome back to Plank of the Week, and here we are, a Friday night, and it's all to play for. We haven't quite got just a little bit past halfway through, but we are now going to talk to Peter Bleksley about Mr. Ed Miliband.
Ed Moribund Miliband, as I like to call him.
Yeah, Millie Bandit, some people call him.
Yeah, revealed this week that his carbon footprint is 12 times the size of the average person in the UK. So what a stinking hypocrite he is. He's flown to New York, Washington, and many other places.
He's going back to Brazil soon there's another climate conference. It's all right to fly to climate conferences.
Does he not do Zoom or Team?
No, he doesn't do
exactly.
Is that what they've dug the forest?
That's what they've dug the Amazon. They've cleared the Amazon.
They've cleared the Amazon.
They've cleared the Amazon to make a road to the climate conference.
Yeah.
He couldn't make it up.
And he takes all his lackeys with him, and all his civil service lackeys, clocking up thousands of miles as they go. But I've got to tell you, wasn't it wonderful watching him in the House of Commons on Saturday?
Yeah.
As Reynolds was standing up, delivering his speech about how they're going to save British steel.
Yeah.
And Miliband was sat next to him looking absolutely crestfallen.
Fuse.
Because, of course, we're going to use coking coal to keep those furnaces burning.
Yeah.
Fossil fuels. And, of course, steel industry is very energy intensive.
Yeah.
And I think Miliband knows that his net zero nonsense is being exposed to the
game's up.
damaging
Yeah.
thing that it is.
Although he left the debate early, believe it or not. By the way, we should give them a special round of applause, should we not, for going to work on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, they made such a big thing of it.
I think they were giving badges out.
All the Labour
MPs. It's the first time that MPs have had the clap for a while, isn't it?
Well, indeed. They were all sending messages, weren't they, on their Instagrams and on their Twitter. Just on my way to work on a Saturday.
I wonder what shop workers and retail workers
the funniest thing is that all of the people that had pictures of them on plane, there was one of them getting on a plane, a couple of them were on trains. You know, we're paying for that. You know, it's not as if they're doing any great sacrifice for the country. Every single travel cost that they incur gets passed on to us.
Absolutely.
Absolute idiots. But Miliband left early, that particular debate, and then put out a statement saying how glad he was that, you know, the net zero policies were working. I mean, is he the only man in the room that doesn't know what's going on?
I'll tell you what I don't get about net zero, and you guys know far more about it than me. I keep hearing people like Ed Miliband, I'm doing that with Daffodil, and other people saying, look, this is what the country wants. I'd be really interested if they had a referendum or something, because I don't believe that a percentage of this country gives a toss about net zero. They might in the back of their minds go, I understand there are climate issues, but it's the here and now, isn't it? You have to say to yourself, if we've got a screwed economy if we've got problems with every single public service? Why are we worried about something that's not achievable more than anything when the rest of the world, we're only 1% of carbon emissions, the rest of the world far more, they don't care. It is beyond me. I don't understand Starmer in his best moments and his worst moments, but why is he allowing this man? Is it to keep a certain section
well,
of
apparently,
the voters on
I'm
side?
told it's because the left of his own party actually see Miliband as one of theirs, and so he doesn't want to upset them because he has to keep them on side. Apparently,
but it's the hilarity of literally a government talking out of both sides of their mouth at the same time.
Their mouth?
The two things, indeed, or something else. But the two things are completely and entirely incompatible. Both commercial growth, GDP growth, which we'll come back to, and the fabled net zero thing, which, as you say, is completely and utterly unnecessary.
Yeah, we've got a little clip of Miliband, Milibandit, whatever you want to call it. Have a look at this.
Billy Bobby Brown.
Welcome.
Are you okay? How are you?
Nice to see you.
So, Ed, why have you brought me up here on the school roof?
It's a good question, and the answer is Great British Energy, partnering with 200 schools across the country to put solar panels on roofs. And what's more, the kids are learning about clean energy, net zero, and what it all means.
Absolutely.
That's what our Clean Energy Superpower mission is all about.
They put out a statement this week, him and Sadiq Khan, that they're spending 2.6 million quid of taxpayers' money to put a load of solar panels on school roofs, right? Now, that's not a benefit at all to the school. They say they hope in the future it will mean that their bills go down a bit because they're generating their own electricity.
Why don't they get more teachers or iPads for the kids? Am I missing the point? The other thing I don't understand about the whole solar thing, it doesn't work. It can't achieve it, and it's spending money we haven't got.
Well, it only takes energy when the sun's shining, so go figure in the winter and at night it doesn't work. There's not the battery capacity to store it. But as Pete's just said, those things are made in China. They're not only made in China, using coal, and then they have to be transported 5,000 miles.
It's all nonsense. Absolute cobblers.
Jürgen, he's been busy then.
Apparently Jürgen's hiring somebody as well.
Oh, good God, this is Jürgen. Then it's GB Energy, no office, nothing.
He's hiring one other person.
Is he to do what?
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to it. Down to you, Mr. Quirk.
This is Rachel III.
Rachel III.
Yeah, Rachel III, Rachel Reeves. Yes, the kind of the continuing remnants.
There she is.
The continuing remnants. Never gets old, does it?
No.
Never gets old.
The remnants of her budget and her spring statement. So what is kicking in as we speak, of course, is the increase in national insurance to employers and the increase in the minimum wage, which those on the left will say, yeah, that's fantastic. Well, it's not fantastic if you're the owner of a hospitality business, whether it's a restaurant, a cafe, or indeed particularly a pub. These guys work on really, really thin margins. If you now, as of April the 1st, have to countenance the fact that demand is down because of the cost of living crisis, and you've got to pay more NI as an employer, and you've got to pay your staff more, no wonder many, many pubs are now saying, do you know what, we're going to have to close at 9 o'clock at night. Now, pubs are under the cosh enough without Rachel Reeves basically screwing them even further and effectively getting rid of pubs. They're going to close. They're going to go.
We started this show by saying that this, under Labour, there's the winter of discontent in 79 and what we think is going to happen. If you also look back, right, they came in and they said it was all about growth. They're doing everything to those small businesses to make sure that it's impossible. Then they've got workers' rights added on top. They're screwing so many small and medium-sized businesses.
But the Labour government don't understand that it's the private sector, it's wealth creators, entrepreneurs and employers
hiring is
that
at
create
an all-time
growth.
low. And the two things that have screwed hospitality in the recent budget is the minimum wage going up because that's what they pay people in pubs, and people are quite happy to get it, by the way, and also the national insurance hike. And they can't afford to employ people.
Because they're working on small margins as it is. So it's the difference between profit and loss, which means businesses are going to close, not just hospitality, but retailers.
The nighttime economy in our capital city, London, now is an embarrassment. If you've got friends coming from foreign countries for a holiday and they say, OK, where are we going to party in London at night? Well, you struggle to find
My son tried to go out after midnight one night when he was down here and couldn't find anywhere to go.
Nightclubs, where are they? Closing.
Unbelievable. Here's a statement that Rachel Reeves put out this very week, though, because they got 2.6%. I mentioned this before, inflation. She goes, inflation falling for 2 months in a row, wages growing faster than prices, and positive growth figures are encouraging signs that our plan for change is working.
Yeah, but her budget
has she lost the plot altogether?
No, she has. Because without getting too technical about it, the GDP numbers and the inflation numbers relate to about a month or two ago. Because obviously they have to take a snapshot, then produce and process the numbers. What she has done in terms of the decision she made in the budget and in the spring statement, those things haven't yet kicked into the numbers. I tweeted this week, saying, If you're saying that these numbers are representative of your plan for growth succeeding, you're going to have to take it the other way as well. When the numbers go against you, you're going to have to
You
admit...
said to Rachel Reeves, you're going to have to take it the other way.
Yes.
And she didn't respond.
Anyway.
There we go.
Trust him to lower the tone.
What can you do?
But when it all goes south, which it will when her budget effect kicks in, she's going to have to take it on the chin.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Next month.
Yeah, absolutely. Dreadful state of affairs. Now, we're nearly right at the end, so we're going to take one more break, and then we're going to come back with not only the winner of Plank of the Week, but a very special mention as well for something else that's happened this week. This is Plank of the Week.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Welcome back to Plank of the Week. We are in the final furlong, ladies and gentlemen, and it's got to be the big story of the week, British Steel.
Yep.
Right? British Steel, now run by this man.
Are you sure that you will have the supplies that you need to keep the furnaces burning?
I'm not going to get into the specifics of that for some very important
That's
reasons.
That's the central question, Secretary of State.
It is, but giving us the chance to do that was essential, and I'm not going to make my situation or the nation's situation more difficult by sharing some specific commercial aspects of that.
So is it still a possibility then that the furnaces will go out and that this has not been for naught?
We've taken action to give us the chance to do that. The situation we have taken on is a challenging and difficult one.
That is, of course, the Business and Trade Secretary of State, Jonathan Reynolds, the fake solicitor.
We're going to say you can believe everything he says, because
he used to be a solicitor. Oh, no, he didn't.
Trainee.
He pretended that he was a solicitor.
Trainee,
solicitor.
yeah.
He's now in charge of one of the biggest industrial
No, it's not. No,
complex
he's a trainee of it.
companies in the entire British Isles, right? And probably Western Europe.
Yep.
Here's me having a clash with him a little bit earlier on in the year.
Lord Ali's simply someone who wants a Labour government, wants to see it succeed, is selfless in...
So what's his role?
He is someone who's been involved in our fundraising activities, that's all I can say.
But fundraisers shouldn't be given access to Downing Street. Do you not get that?
Well, there'd be a whole range of possible reasons someone could have a meeting.
Well, what are they? What meetings does he attend? You know, what meetings does he attend? That was about Lord Ali, of course.
Yes,
You had a pass to Downing Street.
yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable.
He's not very
stuff.
good at answering questions, is he?
No, he really
very
isn't.
dynamic,
He doesn't
is
know
he?
because he doesn't know anything. He can't
What?
answer the questions because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Or if he knows what the truth is and doesn't want to tell us because he knows it's bad.
And just for clarity, Lord Ali did not buy this suit.
It looks like one of his, though. I have to
Well,
say.
no, how dare you?
I was like, not this decade, anyway. Pete.
Yeah. Here's how about Angela Rayner in a hard hat? Can I offer you that?
Sorry?
Angela Rayner in a hard hat.
With my 1.5 million homes, the defence contracts that are coming forward, the work that we're doing on the industrial strategy to make sure that we can bring down the costs that we've seen. You know, there is a deficit at the moment, but we're confident of the future of British Steel.
Can I just say, what a helmet?
Yeah, absolutely
What a
right.
helmet.
Now, just before we decide who's going to win this particular contest this week, I've just got a little announcement to make, because the other big thing, of course, is the Supreme Court had before it this week a decision to make as to whether or not trans women were actually women, right? And so it has to be said, there was a group of people in Scotland, women in Scotland, who were suing the Scottish government, who claimed that trans women are women. The Supreme Court actually ruled that they were not women.
For once.
So I'm afraid I've just got one quick announcement to make, and it is this. Keir Starmer, Ed Davey, John Swinney, Stella Creasy, Nicola Sturgeon, Jolyon Moron, Penny Mordaunt, India Willoughby, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, Daniel Radcliffe, Jamie Lee Curtis, Sam Smith, Trevor Noah and Mark Drakeford. Your boys took one hell of a beating.
Oh, my God.
Now, listen, I think there's only one winner this week. I think it has to be the BBC, doesn't it?
To me, by a mile.
And the Adolescence nonsense.
Absolutely. Oh, look at the smug look on Quirk's face.
He loves it when he wins.
He loves it.
It doesn't happen very often. So, yeah, let me just take the victory, would you?
Take the victory.
No, it's definitely right. I mean, the way they did that interview was appalling.
Yeah, I'm afraid Charlie State, Naga Manchetti, notwithstanding the fact that we don't mind Naga Manchetti,
No,
we don't like Charlie State.
No.
BBC, Plank of the Week, there you go. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed to
Pleasure.
Carl. Thank you to Russell Quirk. Thank you to Peter Bleksley. A very civilised show, I think you'll find. We'll be back with more plankery, of course, same time next week. Until then, don't do anything stupid.